Good morning and welcome to a very cold, wet, muddy, drizzly English morning. I'm Will, this is Mabel, my Cane Corso, and as you can see over there, we're doing a little bit of socialisation this morning with cows. Now, as you can see, I've got Mabel just sitting nicely, she's relaxed, she's taking it in, she's looking. I've got her on a long line, bit of paracord, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on in the video, and I'm just letting her take it all in. The cows are getting a little bit close, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to very slowly walk away. The problem with these cows, well, it's kind of a pro and a con, is I know these cows, this is the field I walk in multiple times every single day, and this is all the work I did with my Labrador. They're very friendly and they like to follow you, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, and as you can see, Mabel's quite happily following me and the cows are over there. So what we're going to do this morning for a walk is we've walked to the field, we're going to do a few laps of the field and we're just going to very calmly, I'm nice and relaxed, walk around the cows. If they start following us too closely, I'm going to very calmly walk away. Anytime that Mabel, like now, good girl Mabel, good girl, yes, good girl, is following me, is observing me, is looking to me for direction, she's going to get positively praised. Any point she takes the cows in, I'm going to give her a little bit of time, I'm going to be patient, I've got my long line so I know no accidents can happen. I'm going to wait for her to break her attention, look back to me, then I'm going to highly reinforce that. If it gets to a point where she starts barking or freaking out, I'm just going to move away, a little bit of lead pressure to bring her attention back to me. When she does that, she's going to get rewarded. Now, the last couple of vlog type videos I've been very openly talking about my frustrations, the things I'm struggling with, because I think it's really important that people understand that having a puppy isn't just the airy fairy lovely Instagram pictures that a lot of people portray it to be. It is actually very difficult, it's not an easy thing. As you can see, one of the biggest things I keep talking about is that Mabel cries a lot, and you can hear her doing that now, so it's not always fun and rainbows and lollipops, but it'd be unfair for me to not show how much amazing progress we've made with Mabel in the last month or so since we picked her up. So today's video, we're not really going to discuss any of the frustrating parts because I've kind of covered them at length in the last couple of videos. Today's video, we're really going to go into depth and I'm going to kind of break down step by step some of the amazing progress we've made with obedience, with manners and with socialisation. And obviously starting this morning, we are doing a little bit of socialisation. So it might be a long video and I'm going to try and put lots of information in. I'm going to pack it full of facts and different tips and tricks that you guys can pick up and hopefully implement with your dogs, whether they're puppies or whether they're adult dogs. A lot of the tips and tricks kind of apply because I'm not necessarily always simply focused on training a new puppy. For me, the wider macro picture is much more important. The social and emotional skills of the dog, their ability to be calm, relaxed and look to me for direction are things that are applicable to not only puppies but dogs throughout their entire lives, and that is what gives you an amazing canine companion that you can take with you anywhere, not just the ability to have them sit and stay and heel. Those things are important, but there's lots more to it. So we're really going to dive deep in this video and it's probably going to be a long one, but I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to pack it full of facts, so we're going to enjoy the rest of this walk. I'm really going to focus on making this a positive experience for her now, and you'll join me again when we're back home going through all the different drills and the different routines that we've been working on recently. Now, we're back from an amazing walk, but before I kind of discuss, I'm standing right underneath a light, by the way, so that's why I've got kind of like that horror look. Do I look scary? Ooh. Anyway, we've just got back from the walk and I'm going to explain all the amazing strides and progress that we've made with Mabel over the last month, and hopefully, like I say, you guys can kind of pick up on some tips. But I think it's really good at this time of year to talk about when life gets in the way. Now, today is the 19th of December for us. I think this will probably go up tomorrow, or maybe the day after. Anyway, whenever you see this, guys, today is the 19th of December. Yesterday was our oldest son's 4th birthday. Tomorrow is our youngest son's 1st birthday. On the 23rd is my wife Rachel's birthday. Then Christmas, then New Year, and we've got a very close kind of group knit of family. So today, up until New Year really, is the last day where we're in routine, where the boys are at nursery, daycare or whatever, and we haven't got family plans. So after today, everything's going to go out the window in terms of structure and routine. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, because Mabel's going to get to come along with us for everything, so socialisation will go right up through the roof. But I think it's important that you understand that life will get in the way, so if that happens, not to worry, but to have your level of non-negotiables. Now for us, that's more about manners, it's about jumping, it's about crying, things like that are my non-negotiables no matter where we are. But if I don't have time to fit in a good heel work session because it's my son's birthday or whatever, that's not a problem. So if you're like us and you've got a puppy at this time of year and things are crazy and it feels like it's going to make things take a back step, don't worry. Have your non-negotiables in terms of manners that are applicable throughout a dog's life, not just puppyhood. Make sure that you and your family and your friends are all on a kind of level playing field with those things. And then if the other things take a back seat for a week or two, it's not the end of the world. And that's kind of what's going to happen with us. I'm going to try my best to keep up with as much as possible, but simply it's just not going to be able to happen. But come 1st of January, we're going to really be able to go into a regiment of routine, and that's where I'm going to predict that things are going to go through the roof in terms of her obedience, her manners, and just her skill set as a perfect canine companion. So that's kind of, I think, really important to talk about at this point. And again, it kind of coincides with the last couple of videos about not getting frustrated, relax, stick to the plan, calm down, it's fine. But anyway, let's talk about crate training and where we're at with that. Now, that's why I wanted to talk about the fact that things are going to be all over the place for the next couple of weeks, because that means one of the big things that I'm going to have to take a hit on is my ability to do crate training, just because we're going to be here, there and everywhere. She's been really struggling with it, but as you can see right now, for that whole time I was talking, I've just put her in a crate. Can you see her? She's just in there working on a bone, happiest puppy in the world, aren't you, Mabel? So in terms of crate training, if we're with her, so what we've been doing is 3 2-hour sessions a day of her having her naps in a crate, and then we're also working on her ability to be left on her own using the time increments that you've seen in previous videos. If we're here, if we're plodding around, if there's noise going on and she knows she's not alone, 2 hours, she won't make a peep now for the next 2 hours. She'll chew on that bone for half an hour, then she'll sleep for an hour and a half. I'll open the door and she probably won't even want to come out because she'll want to sleep some more. If we leave her, she'll ramp up and start squealing. So for us, my plan kind of moving forward is to keep up this level of putting her away for her naps in a crate when people are with her. Her crate association is clearly fantastic. It's through the roof. She loves being in there. It's not a problem. Her issue is feeling like she's being left on her own. So we're going to try our best to maintain it, not take any back steps, but if we kind of stay where we're at now, I would be happy, and then come January the 1st, we'll really start to ramp back up with a training in terms of her being able to be left on her own, because I know the crate is done. That's done now. Crate association, brilliantly. No problem whatsoever. It's just about layering up those time increments of her being left on her own. But like I say, hecticness that's going to happen over the next 2 weeks, that might take a little bit of a backseat. So we're going to let her have a sleep for 2 hours. We're going to tidy up from the mess that was all of the opening of the presents yesterday. And then when she comes out, we'll be going for another walk, some more socialisation, some manners work and some obedience work, and that's what I'm going to bring you on the ride for. So she's just got out of a crate and we took her out to the toilet, and as is typical, I didn't get to film it, but as I'm walking around letting her have a bit of a toilet outside, across the road from us there's people having some work done to their house. It looks like they've got people up on ladders, they've got, it looks like they're having an alarm fitted, but there's big loud drills. So it was an amazing opportunity to do some kind of spontaneous socialisation. So always be on the lookout for random things that you can't prepare, like there being workmen and loud building site noises going on. So that was brilliant. Now we've come back in, we're going to give her a lunch in a minute. But this is another one of the manners drills that we work on a lot with her. So we never want her up in our personal space. So if we're sat up on the sofa or we're stood up, we don't ever want her to jump up. Now puppies, even she's got a brilliant, she's learnt very quickly, because we've never allowed it, that she can never jump up. But when you come down into their space, you'll notice a lot of people call it like the shark attack. You'll watch young puppies will do it to adult dogs a lot when they're playing. They'll kind of come up and they'll be biting and nipping as they come up. So that's kind of a common problem that we want to be working on. So what I'm doing is, whenever I'm initiating any form of praise with her or any kind of fuss and I want to give her some love or anything, I'm coming down to her level and we're working on her being calm with it. Now, me coming down to a dog's level is a very exciting thing. It gets them really hyperactive. She's drinking about a gallon of water at the minute, so I'm going to have to pause this clip when she finishes drinking because she will need a wee, but I'll keep talking about what I'm talking about. But it gets them really excited. But again, as I want her to be a therapy dog when she's older, and as we've got small children, I'm always reinforcing that excitement is never acceptable unless it's in an environment like we're out on a walk or with other dogs, and I want you to be calm and relaxed. So like this, she's coming to me, she's just noticed I've come down to her level and she's happy. Now she's giving me a kiss, that's brilliant. I'm going to reward her for that. Now if she climbs up me at any point, I'm going to tell her off for it. But as you can see, her manners are already impeccable because I'm reinforcing this 100% of the time. So she's starting to learn that if she wants fuss, if she wants praise, and I come down to her level, what I want her to do to earn that is to sit and be calm. Now if at any point she climbs up me, she gets a verbal correction, and then followed by an order to get down. If she doesn't follow through with that order, she then gets corrected physically, and I'm not talking about hit her or anything, but I just remove her down, I put her into a sit and stay, and then we work on it again. So you'll notice that she's now always wearing a flat collar. This is kind of a prototype of one of my own that we're designing and working on for puppies. And we're using a long line. Now I prefer paracord for a few reasons. First of all, it's really light and much lighter than a long line, so she forgets that she's got it on, which is what we want. So whenever we're doing any heel work or out on a walk, she'll always use the slip lead that we're using at the minute that will go high around her neck here. In the future, depending on how we do, all dogs are different and react to different tools. That could change to a choke chain, it could change to a prong collar, it could change to an e-collar on a higher lead. Different tools are ideal for different circumstances and different dogs. But all this does now is, now she's got all the commands of sit, stay, down, off, or just any kind of verbal correction that I use often, Now she's attached to this 100% of the time, unless she's in a crate or unless my boys are playing on the floor, because obviously we don't want any distractions. Now I'm not too bothered about her chewing it, and it's because I've kind of got it held up high. But as you'll notice so now what I can do is, say for example, her food is always kept up on the sideboard over there. Every now and again she'll climb up and try and get to that food. I'll give her a verbal If she ignores that, she'll get a down command, and then if she ignores that, I've always got a long line lead to instantly be able to use a little bit of pressure to reinforce my command, because she's getting to the age now where you notice I never used leads or anything for the first few weeks, and that was because I was able to free shape all the behaviours that I wanted. I knew she'd never go venture too far because she was so young, but as she started to get older and a bit more emblazoned and a bit more independent, she's going to start to test boundaries and be a little bit more confident. So now that means that I'm always under control and I can always reinforce a command if she makes the decision to ignore it. So if she ever ignores something, I can use this long line to ensure that she then follows that command, and we always have a 100% success rate with it. Now eventually she'll get the point, she'll understand that if I ever tell her to do something, she has to do it, and she'd rather do it for praise and for reward than through being corrected. So that's kind of the longer term things. But as you can see, usually she's not as good as this, to be honest. She'll be doing things like trying to jump up on the furniture, she'll try and jump up and get her food, she might try and jump up a little bit on me. But because we've been just doing this drill all the time, when we're watching TV or if I'm just chilling, I'll try and get down on the floor and I'll just reinforce this behaviour, and this is what we want. And this is going back to what we were talking about earlier, where even though we're around Christmas and it's hectic and it's a lot going on, these are the things that I can maintain. So at the minute, this is a very mastiff behaviour of putting paws on, putting a head on. I don't ever want her to climb up on me, but I don't mind her wanting to feel like she's leaning on me. That, like I said, it's a very mastiff-like behaviour, so I'm not going to ever correct that. But well, if I want to say try and I'll get her a bit more. So, yeah, hello, hello. So she's getting a little bit more excited, but still I'm getting a nice sit before any kind of yes, yes, kisses. Yes, and now put her back down if she stays. Yes, good girl. And then she gets the praise. So it's just about being consistent with that, making sure that all your family and friends are in that same kind of wavelength. So manners is not, with obedience it's very clear, it's more distinctive, it's easier to teach you guys how to do it. You can teach somebody, a dog, to sit, and then if they sit, the end product is very clear. With things like manners, it's an ever-going, ongoing process, so you need to kind of decide what your household rules are. And if you're ever going to get a large breed like a Cane Corso, for example, I would always advise for manners to be much higher than a lot of people accept with smaller dogs. For example, never allowing them to jump up, never allowing them to stand up on their back legs, never allowing them up on furniture if they want to. She will be allowed to be on the sofa, but only ever after a sit and stay, and she's welcomed up. Things like that just keep people safe with her being so big. Yes, good. If she wants some fuss now, she sits and she waits for it. Then that way, when my boys are doing this same thing, they don't get knocked over. Old people don't get knocked over if she wants some fuss from them. And it's just about constantly 100% of the time reinforcing it. And then in a year or two, you'll just have a dog that'll always just do that naturally. So it's lunchtime now, so I'm going to be feeding her. And as you can see already, if Rachel shows you, she's naturally very much, because we've been insisting on these behaviours from day one, she'll go into a sit and stay and is constantly looking at me for direction. Now, no matter what's happening, I'm just talking to you guys now. She probably just thinks that I'm talking to Rachel. But what I always insist on is no matter what's happening, no matter what you want, you sit and you wait calmly for it. So me just talking to you guys is actually a very good drill for her now. So she's hungry, we took her out, we've just done a little bit of that manners work. Now it's time to feed her. We're still kind of mixing up where we feed her, and we're still feeding her in a crate a lot of the time, because even though crate association's going brilliantly, we want to carry on reinforcing that. So this meal is going to be served in a crate, but the thing that we are all working on as well, so right now, I haven't actually given her this command, but now I'm going to give it to her so she understands, because that'd be, what we're working on doing is her not breaking a command. I haven't told her to do what she's doing yet. So if she broke and I corrected her, that wouldn't be fair because I haven't told her to do anything. So good. Sit, good sit, yes. Stay, good stay, yes. So now I've given her a command to do what she wants, and I'm not going to let her break until I tell her that she can. Now, I shouldn't have said that, I should have spelt it out. So the BREAK command, we're working on at length. That's going to develop into lots of different things. So at the minute we've got sit and stay absolutely nailed. That's going brilliantly. We're also working on this BRAK command, so that any time I give you any kind of direction or guidance or command, you stay in that until I tell you otherwise. That is going to transition onto the place command that we haven't started working on yet because I'm waiting for a raised bed to be delivered. We're going to start working on that near the front door so that we can work on door manners. So as a big, large guarding breed, I don't want her to lose her mind when anybody comes to the door. So this kind of ability to put her in a position like a sit and stay, or ideally a place, is going to be excellent, because when someone knocks on the door or rings on the doorbell, she'll be told to go to a place. She'll go and sit and stay at that place until I allow her to break. And that break command is really easy to teach. Sit, stay. Good. So as you saw there, that was beautiful. So she broke. I used a verbal correction with a bit of an and straight away she looked for me for direction. Went, oh sorry, what was I doing? Yeah, okay, I'll sit back down here. I have been making her wait for a 12-week-old puppy to be in this position already for that amount of time is fantastic. But like I say, it doesn't matter how old she is. Now she understands what it is that I want from her. She has no choice but to obey it, and because I've got the long line, I can reinforce that now and make sure that even if she decided to randomly break and shoot for the door, I can pick up the long line and stop her, bring her back, put her back in and rework. So I have been making her wait for a long time, so we're going to do the food now. Yes, break, good, yes, good. Sorry, sit, good, stay, good. Good. So I've only given her that command once. I don't need to keep banging on at her or stopping her. I'm not physically stopping her. If she wanted to, she could. Good stay, good stay. I'm going to keep using that marker, keep telling her good stay, good stay. And obviously we're going to layer up this time that we're working on these processes. I'm always looking for this eye contact, good stay. And when I get it, I'm going to tell her good stay. And when I'm ready, break. Yes, good girl. And that allows her to break. Now going back to what I was just saying, she'll happily go into a crate now and eat a dinner, but that skill set, that's why we always teach sit and stay first, because it's brilliant for so many different environments of not just obedience, but so many different manners and then it translates to the wider picture of different obedience. Now for me, a big thing that I want to do in terms of her guarding skills is for somebody to come to the door or somebody to be snooping around. I want her to bark, so that's what we're going to work on. This is advanced obedience that we're going to get to, but this is kind of all about the foundation stages. So I want her to bark, because if there's someone that shouldn't be here, that should usually be enough to send them off. Once I get that bark, I know that there's somebody at the door. I'm then going to come, she'll go to a place. A place will be at a point where if I crack the door open, so imagine we're at the door here, I want to crack the door open and her place is going to be there. So the first thing you're going to see is hopefully an 80 to 100 pound Cane Corso sat up in a place, staring, locked-eyed, looking. A very common burglary here in the UK is done by people knocking on doors pretending to be electricians or plumbers, and they scout houses and they vet for them, and they find out if there's people in during the day, if those people have got dogs, and if those dogs are friendly. So that'll be open the door. The first thing they see is a massive Cane Corso staring at them that's under complete control, because I've put her in a place, I've put her in a sit and stay, and she'll stay there staring at the object that she knows to stare at until I tell her that she can break. Good girl, good girl. So she's finished the dinner now, so I'm going to take her out to the toilet, but just to kind of finish what I'm saying, but that ability for her to go in a sit and stay no matter what's happening and only break when I tell her to break is excellent. So for example, at that door manners, if that's a friendly person, I welcome them into the house, we have the conversation, she stays in her sit and place, she's not jumping up at people, she's not barking, she's not scaring people. Then I tell her she can break, and going back to those manners that we've just been working on, because I never let her jump up and she only ever gets praise or fuss or reward from being sitting and being calm, those door manners will translate from what we've just worked on with a sit and stay and break to a place, stay, wait, break, and then to greet people, calm, sit, be calm, relax, and let people greet them. That will then transition to anywhere that we are in the world. If we're in public, if we're in restaurants, if we're at coffee shops, if we're in a pub, if we're in my house, if we're in somebody's house, it doesn't matter. No matter what's going on, I can put her in a sit and stay and she will wait calmly until I tell her to. No matter who comes to her, she will sit and be calm and won't be reactive unless I direct her to be. So that's why it might seem over the top and we're talking about a lot, but that's why I keep talking about those foundation layers, getting them nailed at such an early age, because then when she gets a bit older and she's a bit more able to do these wider obedience world, it just becomes easy, and you guys will get to see that when we get to that point. Yes, good girl, yes, good girl, yes, good girl, here's a good girl, here's a good girl, yes, Mabel drop. Yes, good girl, good girl. Yes, good girl. Drop. Drop. Good drop, yes, good drop. Oh, good girl. Oh, good girl, thank you. Thank you for bringing it back. You can keep it now, you can keep it, yes. You can keep it, here's a good girl. So as you can see from the last time we were working on fetch training, it was a massive disaster. We're really starting to build it up. So with fetch training, I'm keeping it super fun. There's no need for any form of correction with fetch training, and fetch training, like you see, is also an excellent opportunity to work on the drop it command. Or for me, I just simply use drop. I don't like to use multiple chains of commands. So what we're doing there, as you see, so I'm throwing it out, I was getting her excited, I wanted to chase it, I'm not giving her any, so once I throw it, silence, she gets it, and the second she makes a decision to bring it back, boom, the excitement goes through the roof. Yes, amazing, good girl, yes, good girl. She's looking at me going, what have I done? Good girl. And that's how you kind of build the foundation. Now once I've got that she'll kind of do it all the time, it's just a natural game, then you can put a command in, you can put fetch, or you can put it on a whistle if you want to. There's loads of different ways you can do it. We might have a correction opportunity here. Excellent, good girl, well done. So she's learned to jump on the sofa, so there, she wanted to, because she's a bit tired now, so we've been out for a walk, we've done some work, played a bit of fetch. If I let her the opportunity, she'd come on the sofa and just curl up to sleep, but again, amazingly, she's now making the decision to go into a crate instead. which is absolutely fantastic. So again, it's all just about layering these situations up. But there, she'd have made an attempt to go on the sofa. She'd have got a verbal correction. Hopefully she would have then come down herself. But if she didn't, I would have used the long line. No massive leash pops on that, but enough pressure, pull her back down, put her in a sit, and then reward that. Very basic. You don't need any kind of mega corrections. Usually verbal is enough, but if they make the decision to ignore the verbal, once you've made that correction, you have to follow it through no matter what it takes. Now, I'm not saying beat your dog or hurt them, but minor bits of lead pressure. Like I say, that's why she's constantly on a lead now, so I can always reinforce. I've taught her what I do want, so I know she understands. So if she decides not to, it's a decision that she's making to ignore me, and I will not accept that. I will not allow that, and that's a problem that a lot of positive only trainers go into, because if she'd have jumped up, I then would have had to get more food out, more meat out. I'd have had to lure her off and then reward her. It's not what we want to do. I need her to know, just like you saw with training then, that the FAQS training, purely positive, no correction whatsoever. I like what you're doing. We're doing lots of free shaping. I'm letting her work out what it is that I want. But any serious behaviours I'm really trying to not happen, like jumping up, that could potentially get somebody hurt, that is no. As much as I want you to know what I do want you to do, and once you know what I want you to do, if you make the decision not to do that, you're going to be told not to, and then if you ignore that, I'm going to make you do it. And like I say, that might sound like it's in the aggressive dominance training world. It's a balanced training method. It's a variety of all 4 areas of operant conditioning. Live in positive reinforcement as much as you want. I try and live in there like 97% of the time. I'm alright up in positive reinforcement. Then we use some corrections, and for corrections it's like 2.5 to 2.9% verbal corrections, but if they make the decision to ignore that verbal correction, then with 0.1% with physical corrections, especially with puppies, because you've got a clean slate and the opportunity to show them how to do it positively. But when a lot of legitimate amazing behaviourists and dog trainers get criticised by purely positive people, it's the people that are putting themselves out there and showing working with very dominant large dogs or aggressive dogs, purely positive simply doesn't work, and you have to be able to use these other 3 areas of operant conditioning to get the desired behaviours that you want. But going back to FAQS training, threw it out, silent, she picked it up, made the decision to come back. That's where the energy level goes up. She brings it all the way back to me, loads of fuss, loads of fuss, loads of fuss, and then at the point I remove the attention, I ask her to drop it, I'll just drop. And then, like I say, I was free shaping, because she doesn't understand at the minute what it is that I mean by drops. I'm free shaping that behaviour. So I'm giving her the command and I'm holding on to it quietly. And then when she makes a decision to let it go, yes, good drop, good girl, yes, good girl, good drop, yes. And then she'll go, oh, cool. When he says that, what he means is for me to open my mouth and let go of this thing. So we'll keep doing that, we'll repeat it, keep working it. And then when I know she understands what it means, if she then made the decision to not drop it, then we could use different methods of down, good. Prime example, she was sitting and in a stay, she made the decision to come up on the sofa herself, which we never allow. She didn't get down, so I used the lead to pull her down. Very simple, very basic. She's not hurt, she's not offended, it's not ruined our relationship. It will make our relationship thrive, because she'll go, okay, cool, this guy's in charge. Right, I don't need to be. And a dog that knows they don't need to be in charge is a dog that's relaxed, that can always look to you for direction. So these people that will have a go at me about that method simply aren't educated on legitimate canine behaviour and canine psychology, and they're just spouting propaganda that they've been told in this very us versus them snowflakey world that unfortunately we live in, where if you don't do it my way, therefore you're wrong. Now, purely positive, good. There we go. So she made, right there, she went to go up on the sofa again. I use a verbal correction, and that time, because she knows that I mean what I say, I didn't have to use any kind of physical correction. She came down straight away. That was 2 lots of 5 seconds worth of work that, yeah, you could probably get there with positive only training, but you're going to burn through packets and packets of hot dogs, and they're only going to do it through bribery, whereas she's going to do like, okay, cool, whatever this guy says goes, and I'm happy to listen to him. So that's me ranting about the world that we live in at the minute that makes it difficult for legitimate people, especially on YouTube, like the Tom Davises and the Stoney Dennises and the Robert Cabrals of the world, that are fantastic, amazing dog trainers that are able to get insane results from dogs that would otherwise be put down. Good. Good. Again, chewing something I didn't want. Good, thank you. Good. Gonna redirect her to something I wanted to chew. Yes, good girl. Good girl. Again, that would be classed as positive punishment. I was adding a verbal correction to challenge the behaviour that I didn't want to see anymore. Then, if she made the decision, I should have, probably at this age, I should have redirected her straight away. I gave her the opportunity to do it herself and she didn't, so I corrected her again. I realised that at the minute is too much temptation and I don't want to use any physical corrections because it'd be unfair. So I used my verbal correction again and I redirected her onto the thing that I do want her to chew. Then I used positive reinforcement. So even though at no point did I physically intervene whatsoever there, I used a combination of positive punishment to stop the behaviour that I don't want to see anymore. I redirected it, then I used positive reinforcement to reinforce the behaviour that I do want, which is to chew on this thing. It's just, for behaviourists and people that truly understand the way canine psychology works and the way behaviour for learning works, it makes so much sense. And for people with common sense, you'll listen to what I just said and go, yeah, obviously, you do that with your kids. You don't, with kids drawing all over the wall or doing something really obnoxious and bad behaviour, you don't get a £20 note out and say, come on, and try and put it under their nose and lure them to the shop to redirect them away from doing something really obnoxious. You tell them, you challenge them. Now, you wouldn't beat them or hit them around the back of the head with a stick, but you would challenge the behaviour and you would redirect it to what you want. So you use, every school up and down the country uses rewards and sanctions. It's just the same with dogs. We use rewards and sanctions. We use rewards and consequences, reward and correction, praise and correction. Correct the behaviour you don't want, praise the behaviour you do want, and you do that over and over and over again, and you're a calm, consistent leader, you'll have a perfect canine companion. It isn't rocket science, but if you've never been taught it, or you've constantly been forced the propaganda that the purely positive people spout, you will end up with issues. And I make a living from that. If it wouldn't be fair, but I could, hundreds of emails a day, so many emails now that I physically haven't got enough time to respond to all the different emails. Same again, she made the wrong decision. I corrected it. Over time, she'll learn. But it's just a process. But like I say, at no point was I cruel there. I've not hurt her. I've just let her know, hey, dude, I don't want you to do that. The same way I don't want my son to climb on the roof. And if he tried to climb on the roof, as he's starting to go up the ladder, I'd say, oi, no. And if he carried on climbing the ladder, you better believe I'm going to grab him and pull him back down off the ladder because I don't want him on the roof. So yeah, but like I say, people in this world now, there's propaganda out there so much from people that are just repeating the propaganda that person's heard from other people, and it's not coming from educated people with experience. And like I say, I've got hundreds of emails of people that have spent thousands. It shocks me how much people spend, and to go to purely positive trainers and they tell them that, oh no, this dog, either advised that they need to be euthanized, I've heard that countless amounts of time, or that, oh, that dog can't be out in public, so you're gonna have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning every morning and walk it then and then keep it inside. And then you go to a balanced dog trainer and they either take advice from me and work with me, or I recommend someone that's closer to them that they can get to. They work with a balanced dog trainer, and in a few sessions and then a bit of repetition and training, the problems are fixed. So proper gone on my high horse now. I can see on my camera that's a 12-minute clip just that was meant to be showing you a little bit of fetch, but I think when these opportunities arise that I can show you these things, so I can plan to show you a fetch session, but I can't plan to show you how to properly implement corrections. So as that happened, it was obviously a really good time. So yeah, if you're out there and you're kind of confused about what method to take and you respect my opinion on the matter, balanced dog training, there's not one fits for all different dogs. You need to understand all the different methods, understand the temperament of your dog, try different things, work out which tools and which methods work on that dog for that behaviour. And if you can't do that yourself, you need to find a trainer that can do that. Now, some trainers that are only purely positive is what a dog needs, but for a lot of cases, especially behaviour cases, where you're trying to stop something bad from happening, it simply doesn't work. So if you want more, like I say, Tom Davis, Upstate Canine Academy, Robert Cabral, Stoney Dennis, and I hope you would put me and my videos in kind of with those people. For me, they're the people I look up to. Those are the free trainers. So if you want more channels for for more training tips and you're really soaking it up, they're the people I recommend you going and checking out. You're a big softie, aren't you? You just want fuss all the time, all the time. She is the most sensitive, gentle soul I've ever had, genuinely. She is absolutely lovely. I'm really happy with my temperament selection. Like I keep saying, I know the downside of this beautiful temperament that I've got with her is that she doesn't like to be alone, which is making the crate training and the separation stuff more challenging than with another breed, but she is a beautiful girl. Now that video, I was going to show you a few other things, especially around heel and recall, but because there was a couple of clips where I ended up on my high horse, which I think are actually really educational clips, so I really do hope that you took something from those clips, but I don't want this video to end up being like an hour long because people won't watch it. So on the next video, I'll make sure we talk about a bit more on recall. Isn't that right, mate? A bit more on recall and heel. But you're just a big softie, aren't you? You are just a big softie that wants to be loved on. And although she's a big softie that wants to be loved on, it'd be really easy to spoil this dog. Spoiling this dog would cause carnage in the future when she's 100 pounds and completely out of control. So we have to be structured, we have to implement, and we have to show her what it is that we want from her, what we don't want from her, how she needs to behave so that she can live harmoniously in this world. And as you can see, anybody that suggests that my method of training is ruining the relationship, come and spend an hour with me and Mabel here and tell me that she doesn't absolutely love me and is thriving under being able to look for me for direction, because she is a happy, content, lovely pup that loves learning, that loves knowing when she's doing something right and loves knowing when she needs to stop doing something. So beautiful girl. Cane Corsos are amazing. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, thumbs up, subscribe if you are new, and I will see you on the next episode of Will and Mabel.